Okay, so some reminders. You should have gotten a block of clay like this. You're going to cut it in half, just like this. We have two halves now. Half of this is for your projects. The other half you should cut in half again for the potter's wheel. So if you haven't done that, you need to do that and be ready for that, okay? Now, what do we do with the clay? This should go in a bag so it's not drying out. Always put your non-working clay in a bag so it doesn't dry out. These things are square. We're going to a wheel. Something's wrong with that picture. So you need to go ahead and make these at least round, okay? So that is better. You could roll it a little bit. If you're in a hurry, that might work, but make sure you have a flat side when you go back to the wheel. We'll keep this one like this and we'll try it maybe. I'm not sure if I'll get two videos on here or not, but this one, I showed you guys a thing called wedging. So if you'll notice, I'm putting these layers of clay on there, and if there was air bubbles in there, that would make them pop. So if you've been on the wheel and you messed up both of your pieces, you have two of them so that if you mess up your first one, you can instantly start your second one. But you know, some of you guys will play around with them forever. So if you mess up both and there's air bubbles in them and you still have time, you would need to do this where you get the air bubbles out. As you're doing those layers of clay, you'll spin it. All right, so I'm doing those layers, and as I'm doing it, this hand is spinning. And that's gonna make your clay go in a spiral, okay? So there's your two things. Not the best, better, okay? So, flat bottoms on these guys, and then we go over to the potter's wheel. All right, we are gonna close up as much as we can here. All right, I think that will work. Okay, so I've come back here. I should have gotten my two lids. I'm going to grab those really quickly. These lids have two sides. I would put your clay on the top side of this one here and then just set it off to the side here. If there's water on the plate here, like there is over here, you don't want to set your clay in that, because if water gets on the bottom of these, they're not going to stick to the wheel, all right? Excuse me. So anyways, you need two lids. When you're done, you're going to be able to put the other project on your other lid. I do need some water. I have some, but it's got some clay in it. Maybe I'll fill it up a little bit more. That just means somebody didn't clean up as well as they could have. Not gonna mess me up because gooey water is still gonna be just fine. All right, so now I'm gonna get on the wheel. We'll check and make sure you're still in there. Okay. All right, you will notice that there's no water on here. If there's water on here, you need to get your sponge and dry it off, maybe a rag or the towel that you brought back. If you don't dry it off, this clay will not stick. You might watch some videos online that show them putting water on. The only time you put water on is if this is like a wooden surface. And the reason you'd have wooden surfaces is so you could take it off and work on it later. We don't have that, okay? So you need to not put water on it. Find the center here. And I'm gonna hit that on there at least. If it comes off really easy, then smack it down. Now it's not coming off so easy, all right? And I can kind of mold it so that it's inside of that center ring. That's gonna give me a lot more of a bonus, okay? Now I'm gonna kick with my right foot. This is how most right-handed people do it. These kick wheels make it so you can go either way. You just need to know what's easier for you. I can do both hands. I've only done right-handed this time, so I'm not gonna do anything fancy today. I'm just gonna do the normal, but the steps are the same, just in reverse. Okay, at this point, if I grab the clay, it's gonna pull it off and it's gonna slow the wheel down. But if I put some water on it, I can't really grab onto it. That's what we want. We want slippery clay. We don't need any of this water out here. Might as well clean it up now instead of later. If you don't put too much on it, you will have less mess to clean up at the end. All right, at this point, if I push on the clay, it'll come off, right? So I have to be careful that I don't go past the middle as I'm pushing on it. I'm going to push on it, but I'm also going to squeeze on it and make sure that I go nowhere past the center, obviously. All right, so squeezing on it, basically pushing them together as it spins, and that's going to bring it up the middle as long as I don't let my hands go like this, okay? Now you probably can't see this, but my elbows are in my gut, and if I do that, I'm very strong. If I have my elbows out to the side, I don't know if you can see that in the video, but if you can, that's gonna, you have to be a lot stronger to do it out here. But if you do it here and put your arms on the pan, everything will stay straight, okay? So we went up. Now I'm gonna take this hand and keep it in the same place that it was, so it doesn't really move, and I'm gonna push down on the clay. So I'm pushing down. All right, and you'll notice I didn't push straight down, I actually pushed from the center out, and that's gonna help me center the middle on top. Okay, and I'm gonna do that same process. Most potters will do this 2 or 3 times, all right? 3 times is kind of the standard. All right, now you'll notice there's some stuff on the bottom. If I'll take and squeeze there a little bit more deliberately, it will go away. It'll go right up into it. All right, so let's take it up one more time. Okay, and then halfway and push down. Okay, when I did that, I'm pushing down on the clay, and as it expands, it's hitting this wall. As long as this doesn't move, that's gonna stay straight, okay? So that's the process, okay? Now, if this clay is going around out here, it is not in the middle, and you're gonna have problems, okay? So this is what you want ideally. Now, if you were, I don't know if the camera shows it, but there's some bumps in the sides here. If you want to clean those up, there's a tool called a rib. You can take this, there's a hole in the middle. These get a little slippery when they have clay on them, so if you'll put your finger in there and then push on the clay. To the top as you're doing it. That'll smooth out the sides. It also gets a little sludge on your tool, not the end of the world. Okay, it's just basically making your hand flat, so. All right, to find the center here, at this point, we're basically making a pinch pot. So if you follow the same steps as a pinch pot, poke a hole in the middle, but we need to find the middle. So if you let the clay drag your thumb on it, that'll take you right to the middle. Now that's getting sticky, I need it to be slippery, so I'm gonna put some water in there. I'm gonna use both thumbs, and I'm gonna support it, and I'm gonna push down into it. Carefully. Okay. Now that's probably a little thick. I think we'll just check it right now. So I'm gonna push this in here, put my finger down at the bottom, and I'm almost an inch. So I actually need to push down a little bit more. That's gonna cover up that hole that I just made and get it a little deeper. If it's too thin and you cut it off, you're gonna cut it off with a wire, so you cut off some. If it's too thin, you're gonna have a hole in the bottom. So you need to make it about a 1/2 inch, like all of our thicknesses are. All right, the next thing you want to do, at this point you could even do some cleanup so that at the end it's a lot cleaner, because you only need water on your project, okay? All right, so at this point, if I was going to make a tall pot, I would just start at the bottom and pinch and go up. But you guys, we don't really want a lot of tall pots, and they usually fall apart anyway. So on your first ones, just make a smaller one. You're gonna do this next step where you push out with both thumbs at the same time. So I'm gonna push out. Okay, and I could keep pushing until it's the right thickness, but that's not technically the best way to do the walls, and it's also very limiting. All you have is just a plate or a bowl or something. So the next, and this is the fun part, this is the skill you want to learn on the potter's wheel, and that's pulling up your walls. So we need them to be slippery. We're gonna do a very simple wall pull, And all I'm doing is pinching my fingers together. Now, if you haven't noticed in the video, I'm always making my hands do things together. I'm not doing separate. Because if I pinched here and here, my walls are definitely going to be uneven. But if I pinch together, probably a better chance that my walls will stay nice and even. So I'm starting at the bottom, pinching, and I'm just pulling up. Okay. Now, something I didn't talk about, I'm kicking this wheel. It's about 100 pounds at least. Once it gets going, it's going to stay going. Okay? If you start feeling it slow down, then obviously stop pinching and then go ahead and kick the wheel again and get it started. I am going to run and turn off that alarm. Silly Mr. Jackson. Okay, I should have stopped this wheel before I jumped off because it's a little dangerous to get off on a spinning wheel. Better make sure you're still in camera. Okay. It's always a distraction when I'm doing these videos. It's terrible. All right, so I just put some more water on it, but I'm also getting a lot in the inside. So I'm gonna sponge that out for now. Put some more on. I'm gonna do one more pull from the bottom up. Carefully keeping it very even. Okay, and this is doing actually pretty good. All right, now you can kind of see a wobble. I'm going to show you. If I stop it though, it's very hard to see the wobble. So just remember that they don't have to be perfect. When you stop it, if it looks good, it's going to be good. You'll probably mess it up while you're working anyways, pulling it off and stuff. So if it's still on here though and that happens, just carefully bring it up again, squeeze it in maybe. All right, if you might have noticed before that the top was starting to spread out like that, what's happening at the top a lot of times is the particles are spreading apart, which means water can go through it quicker and the top will dry faster and you'll get cracks. So it's a good idea sometimes to collar it in or compress it, just like that, okay? All right, now there is a little wobble on the top, like an uneven top, but it's actually really close, so I did pretty good this time. Must have had a little bit of practice this week. But if you want to get rid of that wobble, you can take this needle tool, and you're not going to stab it, you're going to drag it. And you're just going to kind of put it in there and carefully pull that off. Oops. Okay, now that top is a lot straighter now. There you go. If I want to smooth off this top, I'll just take the sponge, smooth that out. Okay, clean it up a little bit. Now, if you want to have some fun with this now, it's a good time to do it. So with slippery fingers, of course, I'm going to go ahead and push the bottom out a little bit, kind of making it a little bit more of a pot belly. And then you can squeeze in the top, carefully, slowly. Okay. Don't take your hands off too quick or you'll have things like that happen. Now I've got another wobble because I pinched somewhere too much, I guess. We'll see. But it still looks pretty good. I like it. Okay. Some other things you can do with your needle tool is decorate the sides. So you can make some lines in it. Pretty fancy, right? Okay. If you don't like the slime on the outside, you can go ahead and take a dry sponge and clean it up a little bit. Okay. All right. Now, before my video runs out of juice, maybe. Okay. You'll notice the bottom is really square and not very attractive. So we're gonna take this tool And I'm going to kind of just dig into it carefully. Hopefully I don't cut a hole in it. So I just stop that, carve that out. Any scraps of clay, I should have brought my bag with me back here if I was a good student and remembered what Mr. Jackson said to do. I can just put my scraps right in the bag if it's right there on the floor. That's an interesting shape. All right, got to be careful here. Oh, I just pulled it off. Luckily, it's pretty good right now. Okay. All right, so you can still do things like this to it if you want to. You can put handles on it if you don't let it dry out. But at this point, I'm going to put it back on here. I would take this wire tool and cut underneath the bottom. And then I would get my lid ready. And this is so you don't get fingerprints on it. I've got fingerprints on it.